for it, but it's big enough that it has fans that support it. So when it comes to the digital age and television dying, I think it's very true. And the internet is taking over, and Dave's webcam just crapped out. He'll be back. Oh, there he is. Anyways.
Lag spike there, sorry.
Lag spiky do.
Yeah, I just couldn't hear you for a second at the same time, so I think it was Skype related.
Oh, thanks, Skype. Back on track. Back on track here.
Apparently, nobody can see the stream right now.
Refresh it if you can't see it.
Oh, no.
It should be back up.
Yeah, you should tell people to refresh.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Come on, mouse, work with me. I'm gonna have to replace this thing. I think the laser's
Test.
dead.
We're good. Yeah, just refresh your browser, guys. I don't know what's going on. Okay, we're back. It's the networks. The television networks are hearing me right now. They're trying to shut us down.
They're taking you off the air, man.
Taking me off. Yeah. Okay. So wrapping this point up here, getting to where I was going, is that the television style, the 1960 Nielsen rating style, is dying because of the power of the internet and the availability of the distribution system to all people, to when they want to watch a show, how they can watch it, and it's really changing the game. So now we have Twitch.tv, okay? We have a plethora of shows, all related to gaming in some way. I consider now Justin.tv or Twitch.tv a network. I consider it an internet network for shows. And that's the future to me, man. That is the future. And if you have a quality enough show, if you have an audience that is there to support you, the money will come. The money will be there. And it's great. It's great. It's so amazing how much streaming has exploded in 2011, and I look forward to 2012.
I mean, look no further than this channel, right? If you just scroll down, see the info thing right below this stream. We have a programming list for MLG.tv. What more do you want? Though I do actually, while we're still on this, before you wrap it up, I do have one question for you, Josh.
Okay.
Do you think the way, I guess, the internet and distribution of content works right now, it's mature enough to support like a big budget show? Like, could a Walking Dead come out of somebody on the internet instead of with the backing of a big TV company?
Yes, but it will have to take somebody or some sort of marketing company or sponsor with a lot of money to put it out there. We have a lot of webisodes. Like, for example, The Walking Dead has webisodes about that lady that Rick sees in the first episode that's in half and crawling. There's an entire web series devoted to her character. And it's almost like they're offshoots, or they're branching out of the main content, right? The main story, the main production. I think that's very possible that can happen.
I guess they'll have to figure out how to monetize.
Exactly. That's kind of the issue right now, because the monetizing system for television has been set in stone for so long, and that's what people know, and that's what marketers know. And now they have to kind of be pioneers to find out, okay, what's the best monetizing system we can use that can rival or even be better than television, especially when the numbers of television are declining. We are starting to see more movies on YouTube that will be streamed at specific times, and then they'll have ads related to that. So that's pretty cool as well, is that now you can have a live stream network that you already have a huge following, because everybody uses that network pretty much to either watch videos or post videos and say, hey, we're going to be streaming this movie. They have one about Skillrex and a bunch of other DJs working with...
Skrillex.
Did I say Skillrex? Skrillex, sorry. I call him, I don't know. Deadmau5 is in it.
So many angry dubstep. Idra's going to come kill you, dude.
Yeah. I've always called him Skillrex, but it's Skrillex. S-K-R-I-L-L-E-X. I even know how to spell it, guys. Well, it's like me calling him Idra instead of Idra for so long. But the premise of the movie is about all these different DJs and working with different music artists, like rock artists, country artists. It looked pretty cool on how they try to create music together. And that's going to be a movie streamed on YouTube for free at a specific time. I don't remember when, but I saw a trailer for it. So it's getting there. It's getting there. It's going to take a while, but I'm sure we'll see more in 2012. And for such a high-budget show, Dave, that you've mentioned. I'm not sure when that will happen. But I don't care what show it is. I'll watch it just to support the distribution system of the internet and it being the future and to break away from these corporate suits.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I think one thing you got to consider though is that I think some of the people actually in the chat make a good point. Is that until everybody in the world, or everybody at least that would view normal television stations, can view it and view it in a high quality and have easy access to it, I think that's really the barrier there. Because it's hard to imagine a world for us where we don't have like high-speed internet and stuff. But if you go, if I even go to where my parents have a house out in Wisconsin, they have crap internet. And if they wanted to try and watch TV through the internet, like, it'd be terrible for them. So if they don't have cable, they can't really watch TV. And then on top of that, you have sports would have to switch over, and all these sponsors would have to switch over. And then, like, you're starting to try and figure out how you set up all those deals with all the sponsors with commercials and stuff. Yeah. You know, like, I think it's possible. I think TV definitely could head that way, where everything is more, like, at your fingertips, more so than, like, oh, here's our programming list, and you get on your DirecTV and click, 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 click. I think it can definitely head more that way as infrastructure develops, but I think we're still lacking a little bit of the infrastructure to actually make that transition right now.
Yeah, and we don't have the big behemoth companies that have been doing it for so long. However, this is the same thing that people were talking about with radio. You had a great radio signal, you can pick up those old-time radio shows, but when television came out, there's a lot of places that could not pick up the UHF television signals, and so they stuck with radio. And so it's the same pattern repeating with technology. But it's very true. It's not going to happen overnight. It's still going to be a while, and especially when you talk about other countries, even second or third world countries that still are trying to get more into the internet scene, but they already have an established television scene, and that's really their distribution of information right now. A lot of it is over television broadcasts. But it's a great point. However, right now in America, I am more excited to have an internet television show or an internet show than a television show on a basic cable program in a small town that 10 people watch. But hey, it's great. It's media, and it's the accessibility though of the internet. I thoroughly enjoy compared to television. I mean, there's channels that I would love to have that I can't have in this area, like the BYU channel. I'd love to have that channel, but I can't. And like, talk to your cable provider. Well, they're not going to offer it to me unless 300 plus people ask it as well. So that's another power of the internet, is you can have that automatic distribution. All right. Any other points we wanted to make on that before I move on?
Nah, I'm good.
We're good.
Okay. Destiny moving over to Owned. Big news. He is a guy that has a lot of viewers. And with Owned and Twitch being competition now, do you guys think this competition at this point in online streaming is healthy, or is it spreading the scene out too thin? Starting with you, Dave.
I can't imagine it could possibly be spreading the scene too thin, because you can, like, it's not like I have to choose between Twitch or Owned as a viewer, right? If I want to watch a streamer, it doesn't matter what he's streaming on. Though, I mean, I have a personal preference. I like Twitch more than Owned because I think it just delivers a product to me better. But it doesn't matter. Like, if my favorite streamer, like, which is right now is Sage, for example, he's streaming on Owned, like all the rest of the Koreans, then hey, I'm gonna watch it there. The viewers will be there. Like, if there's one great thing, especially about the StarCraft 2 community, is fans are always there, right? So I don't think it could be stretching it too thin, per se. I think that there's only so much money in it right now that you have to be a little bit careful as far as that goes, as to making sure it's still profitable for the streaming companies.
Yeah.
But I think it's fine right now. There's so many people still on Twitch, and those are the two big ones out there right now. I don't see any problem with it. It's cool. It's cool competition. Did you hear why they switched over to Owned? Because I know. I don't know if you know.
No, go ahead.
They're actually, I guess they're actually paying more per viewer when you run commercials.
Okay.
So that's why all the Koreans and then Destiny as well have switched over. And I don't know if they have some sort of better deal for if you're actually in Korea or anything like that.
Well, I don't think Twitch TV works very well in Korea either.
It could be. I don't know.
I've heard that it doesn't work as well.
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Like, like their servers are all U.S. based, so you have to stream to one of their servers. So you're streaming like from Korea to one of their servers in the U.S. So I guess they don't work as well, supposedly, is what I've heard. But also, obviously, the money thing plays huge.
Yeah, I know. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that's like the sole reasoning behind Destiny doing it.
Yeah, for more money. Hey,
yeah.
you know.
And hey, if he's trying to make, like, he's literally just making a living doing that. So
yeah. You go where the money goes, man. You go where the money goes. But that kind of competition is healthy because now another corporation, be it Twitch TV or somebody else that wants to get into the streaming world like YouTube, they're starting to stream some stuff. They streamed the MLG finals. So they could say, oh, but we can offer this. And the other guy goes, oh, we can offer this. And so that competition is healthy because it's best for us. It's best for the people that are creating the content. And that's what you want from the networks, is you want the networks fighting over you to get your content so that you can get paid more and they can get paid more because they have more viewers on their website. But yeah, it's good. The spreading is too thin, though. That kind of relates to Destiny losing some viewers because people are like, oh, well, I'm so used to watching him on Twitch. I'm going to find somebody else now because I'm not going over to Owned, which could be, I mean, it could be a cop-out answer, but...
Is that really any different, though, than, like... I mean, I know it doesn't happen as much on network television, but if you think about it, if you would consider Twitch TV and Own3D like two networks, like, say, Fox and NBC, right? Like, that's like two networks. I mean, if you consider how many networks there are on television simultaneously playing different things, I mean, I think to some extent, I think more like the individual channels, like an MLG channel or something, are kind of functioning as the networks on an individual, like, grouping more so.
Okay.
But I would consider, like, Twitch and Own3D more like DirecTV and Dish Network or something like that.
Okay.
Different providers of the channels rather than... But they don't have the same content back and forth because nobody's found a way to do that yet.
Yeah.
But regardless of that, I think you can't really have too much competition because, I mean, inevitably, anytime something starts to get spread too thin, somebody's going to be a forerunner and they're going to gobble up the weaker competition. And you're going to end up with a couple who are really well organized, who are providing the content. As long as the content that people have available to them doesn't suffer, I think that's the most important part.
Yeah, that's true. If the content suffers, why do it? You know.
Exactly.
But it's a good point, and we wish Destiny the best with anybody that's streaming the best because this is something new and something that can be monetized. And if you can create a living off of it, doing something you love every day, more power to you, man. That's just fantastic. So. But yeah, it's great, and with the new streaming capabilities that XSplit had with their update, which is pretty cool, I'm really excited that it works with my Blackmagic Intensity Pro card. That was so awesome. Like, Christmas came early when I heard that update, and how the DJ Wheat was telling me about some things that were pretty interesting as well. Him working with Twitch TV is very exciting because he has been in the broadcasting world over the internet for a long time. Especially with esports. So to have somebody with that kind of passion being involved is great for everybody. It's great for everybody.
Oh, definitely.
So, all right, guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, the death of Star Wars Galaxies. Stay tuned. This is Shifting Gears. All right, guys, welcome back to Shifting Gears. You saw a little clip there of me playing Zelda. It's a lot of fun. It's like fencing.
Intense, man.
It is, man.
Which Zelda?
Skyward Sword, the new one. You have to learn how to frickin' fence in that game, man. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
You kind of do. Well, I actually kind of found that if you just take it and you just swing it around like spastically, that works pretty well too.
Yeah, kind of, except when the enemies know you're doing that and they block your every move. It's kind of tough. So, it had a tough boss fight against that. Anyways, gentlemen, Star Wars Galaxies, a moment of silence for the death of that MMO. Oh my goodness. It is officially closing its doors. All the servers will be shut down on the 15th of December, 2011. How convenient for Star Wars The Old Republic. Star Wars Galaxies came out a while ago. I think it was 2004, 2003 maybe. It was a pretty cool MMO.
My car.
Oh my gosh, mine too. It was a pretty good MMO when it came out because we didn't know any better. The balance was totally off. The story was kind of bad because you had so many Jedis running around or people trying to be Jedis, and it was only after the fourth film. So, but the music, the different abilities you could have, creating your own cities was really cool, and it had a great initial experience, at least from my end when I played it. Having a land speeder and then speeding off to your own city that you built was a lot of fun. However, there was too many changes that happened when Sony was getting involved in trying to change the combat, trying to make it more balanced, and just lost the fun of the game. And one of the greatest expansions to any video game ever was Jump to Lightspeed. You could create your own ship in the MMO world, but you could fly that ship in space, and it wasn't an MMO anymore when you were in space. It was Twitch gameplay, which meant you were actually flying the spacecraft. You weren't slash attack. You weren't usability 2. No, you were totally flying that thing. It almost felt like the old TIE Fighter games back in the day. That was so much fun. So much fun.
TIE Fighter, man.
Yeah.
So much fun. When I was in the Air Force, I'd be playing Ace Combat 4, and then my other cadets would come over so they could practice their flying maneuvers and dogfighting skills on that game because I had a joystick and a throttle, which was really sweet. And then when they came over to play that, I would play Jump to Lightspeed and use my piloting effects when zero gravity for that amount of fun. That was so good, and I miss it sometimes. But honestly, guys, Jedis ruin the experience. Who wants to be a bounty hunter when you can be a Jedi, right? Well, they made the bounty hunters way cooler in Star Wars The Old Republic. But there's a lot of really neat things that they added in the MMO realm that some other MMOs have taken. But the combat upgrade was it. Goodbye, fans, after the combat upgrade. Nerski, I know you played that game. What were your thoughts on it?
Well, I mean, I honestly didn't play it a whole lot. I mean, I never made it to the Jump to Lightspeed expansion because of some of the things that I didn't like about it. I mean, some of the story elements were good, I think, but, like, I kind of feel like the game suffered from trying to be almost maybe too similar to the original 3 movies, like 4, 5, and 6, I guess it would be. Then kind of like doing what they've kind of done with the newer game, which is kind of creating a space where it's a lot easier to have its whole own story arcs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think it was tied out a little bit. And then on top of that, like, some of the stuff in the game just wasn't, like, I mean, when you had World of Warcraft out there, and that was essentially what it was competing with for space at the time, like, you needed to at least function that well from a fun factor to, like, really pick up a lot of people versus, like, just hardcore Star Wars fans. And I felt like they had the hardcore Star Wars fans, but just, like, the game in some ways just didn't feel as smooth as, like, World of Warcraft did. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, like, I think one complaint a lot of people always had is, like, when you were first starting out, like, the distance between places, like, took forever to go from, point A to point B.
Oh, yeah.
It was, like, an epic marathon where I was, like, set the auto run and walk away and come back in an hour, and I'll see if I'm there yet. I mean, and then if you recorded it, like, you could see the journey of your guy, like, running. He's attacked by a guy, and then he's running, and then he's attacked by a guy. It was like, and I think they did some really good things with it. Mm-hmm. Like, the cities were cool. Some of the space combat stuff was cool. And I think that's really what the MMO community gets out of that game. is for everything it did wrong, it did some things right that then people can take into the next game.
Exactly. Well, but what was kind of broken about the game is nobody could be a Jedi right at the beginning, right? You had to get holocrons that were super tough to find, and then that holocron would tell you, hey, you have to be an artisan. You have to do this in order to be a Jedi. So you would reset your skills so you could get experience to get to that skill, and then you would find another holocron once you got to the top tier of that skill and said, hey, you have to be Terracasa Master. And you're like, great, so I have to reset my skills and go there. And you had to do that a couple times until you could unlock the Jedi. And then you could play as a Jedi, but I think if you died 2 or 3 times as a Jedi, then you were only a blue ghost. So it was more of this like Easter egg treasure hunt trying to find how to do this. That was the main focus of the entire game. It wasn't about PvP anymore. It wasn't about creating your own cities. It was like, how can I unlock the Jedi? How can I unlock the Jedi? And it took away the fun of the whole experience. I remember landing in Mos Eisley, and I was on the Rebel Alliance back in the day, because I was a young kid. I want to be the good guy. And land, and people are like, there's Imperials coming. I'm in the cantina, like, let's go. We're jumping out and getting towards the shuttle, and people are launching blaster fire over the place, and I was a two-hander. I had this giant hammer, and I was swinging around. That was fun, man. I had so much fun doing that. The PvP instances, not when you enter a dungeon, but when a bunch of world PvP happened, was so much fun. And then the Imperials would take us out, and they talk trash, like, you little rebel scum. So it's...
That's talking trash.
So yeah, in the Star Wars world, that's totally talking trash. And it was so much fun, man. But it wasn't balanced at all. It was not balanced at all. And that was part of the fun, is it wasn't balanced. You could be a Terracasa Master and press 4 buttons and totally wreck face against somebody. So when they tried to balance and they noticed that there were too many exploits, then they completely reworked the combat system and it lost its fun. But yeah, it was a great time, man. It was a great time. So with the depth of that MMO, there's some other MMOs that instead of closing their server doors and shutting down the game altogether, they've switched over to free-to-play. And some of those MMOs we have seen is Age of Conan and DC Universe Online. I have not played any Age of Conan, but Nerski, you told me you did. Please elaborate on how you felt about that game.
That game, from levels like 1 to 10, actually did a lot of things amazingly. The graphics were beautiful. You start out with this nice story. As you're leveling from 1 to 10 in the first city, you have like cutscenes with like full voiced over questing and stuff. It was really awesome. It felt like this really cool journey. And then their combat system was a little different than your average MMO, but not so different that you couldn't figure it out, rather quickly, where it was like too cumbersome or something. And then like the cutscenes where it's like the graphic gore where you'd like chop somebody's head off was cool too. But the problem that it had is you got through that 1 to 10 and you got to 11 and then the game just completely went downhill. Everything was buggy. Every single area was instanced, so there'd be like 2 people in your instance of an area, and then there'd be like 15 instances of the same area, so it was like hard to get with other people. And they essentially found a way to take an MMO and take the massive multiplayer out of it, so that it was like just you with a buggy world environment, and everything's back to text-based. All the cool cutscenes and stuff are gone. The world environments got more bland. Like it just tanked downhill after that, and it was a shame. But, I mean, if they could have done what they did from 1 to 10 in that game, the whole game, by the time it came out, it could have been an awesome game, and they just came up way short. And it was kind of a shame, because they really had something halfway decent. And there was, you could build your whole own cities in that game and stuff, and it had a lot of potential.
I remember seeing videos on the combat system of you would press a button, and it was different swings or different angles of your swing that you would try to hit, and you would try to block that by trying to match the same angle. Is that true? Right. Is that how it worked?
Yeah, it was kind of like that. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, essentially, you'd like push an ability, and you'd have to swing certain ways to make the ability do its full cycle. And then, like when you were blocking, you could try and like block in that direction and try and deflect damage or lessen damage and stuff like that. So like, it wasn't too cumbersome for something that was trying to be unique. But I mean, what the game really suffered from the most was all the bugs at release, the awesome 1 to 10 experience, and then the total letdown when you got to like level 11 and everything went to text-based and really bland story arc, and half this stuff doesn't even work right. I tried to run an instance once, and I didn't even know where the heck I was going because it was like just monsters were crawling through walls and stuff. It was like, it's just completely spazzed out.
That sounds like hell. Monsters crawling through walls. That's too bad, man, because these developers want to make something innovative and new that's not the same MMO pattern that is out right now. Another game that's gone free to play is DC Universe Online, which I have played. Having a game that's friendly for consoles with the PS3 and PC, it's good to try to broaden your audience, but it's bad because it limits the PC version of the game, either graphically or controls. And it's fun, it's cool. The voice acting for the Joker's great. I chose to be a villain, more of like a Catwoman kind of female, and because I like Catwoman. I don't like Anne Hathaway, but I like Catwoman. Michelle Pfeiffer, sex on legs, Catwoman. Anyway, the PvP Gangfest that happened, playing that game is fun at first, but it gets so annoying when you're on a PvP server. Is you're trying to just quest and level up and either take out police officers, whatever you're doing in the game, and 40 heroes show up that are max level and just annihilate everybody. It's not very heroic of them, or is it? So it got annoying trying to have a good pace in that game. You know, you get into a rhythm of you go and do quests and you level up and you come back and get more quests, you level up. You think, okay, if I do 5 more quests, I'll be done for the night. It didn't feel like that. I was like, I want to go do 1 quest. Oh, I'm going to get raped 30 times by heroes. I'm done for the night. So, but I appreciated what DC Universe was and what they were trying to do with an already established medium of comics, especially DC Universe. I really loved the intro videos. Thought they were really good. But it was a hit and miss for them as well. Nerski, you played it as well, right?
Yeah, I checked out a little bit when it went free to play. I think it was like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And like it seemed pretty cool. Like some of the voice acting is really great. Some of the story that they were trying to incorporate, the experience seemed pretty good. But the first time I got camped by like a horde of heroes just running around killing everybody, I was like no. That was pretty much, that ended it for me. As soon as like I got like the griefer, so to speak, person who was like, I'm not going to let you quest ever for the next hour. So you can log off or do something else. It's
yeah. Honestly, I could be playing StarCraft 2 right now. That's what I'd go do or try to. Or play another game that's come out this fall. Final Fantasy. That's how I feel. Final Fantasy. What the heck?
I have a friend who's played it.
Yeah, I played 11. 11, you couldn't do anything.
So.
Yeah. Wiggin is in Be Quiet and check the chat mode right now because he hasn't played any of these MMOs.
Yeah, only WoW and Guild Wars. When we get to them, I can
we'll get to them. We'll get to them, buddy. Don't worry.
I never played Final Fantasy, but I mean, like, the experience that I heard from other people with the previous Final Fantasy MMOs was like half of the initial part of it was like go out and kill bunnies for an hour, and it was like, what?
Sheep. It was sheep. Final Fantasy.
Sheep,
11.
bunnies. You know, I mean, like, I'm gonna go and like I need to go kill random animals to level up, and that's my gaming experience. Like, it's like Barnyard Slaughter Online.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
11 was cool because of the music, and it felt the art style and being in that realm like, oh, this is an online Final Fantasy, man. This is awesome. This is before 12 and 13 happened, so it was when Final Fantasy meant something in the hearts of children.
What's the new one? There's like 14?
Yeah, I'm getting to that. I'm getting to that, man. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. Yeah. So 11 was cool, but what happened was it was so dependent on the 5-party system of a healer, 2 DPS, a tank, and a controller, or whatever it was back in the day. But if you did not have a white mage, you couldn't do anything. I literally mean you couldn't do anything in that game. You couldn't level solo. You couldn't do group quests without a white mage. You had to have one in your group to heal you, period. You couldn't have even a paladin to like off-tank and off-heal. Anyway, so that's where it really kind of failed. And they did some adjustments once World of Warcraft came out. Final Fantasy XIV is the same thing that happened with EverQuest. EverQuest 1 comes out, huge MMO. Millions play it, if not hundreds of thousands. A lot of people play it. EverQuest 2 comes out. Why? Why does EverQuest 2 come out? You already have an established community of all these people that have poured hours into this game. Now you want them to completely let go of something they have been working on and the communities they've built and the friendship they have for something new. It's
why come out with StarCraft 2?
It's different, Dave. It's an MMO.
Oh, okay.
You are that character.
Well,
no.
I mean, and plus on top of the MMO, you already have these people with subscriptions paying X amount of money a month.
Yeah.
I mean, so long as your game hasn't gone free to play because it's been out that long, I mean, I think one of the best production type of models that's been out there for probably the longest that still has a small but growing player base has been EVE Online. They started out in 2001. They've released expansion after expansion after expansion. They've updated the graphics in the game, and it's all been just keep paying your monthly subscription and we'll keep updating the game.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes sense because if you can overhaul graphics and stuff like that without releasing an entirely new game, the only thing I think a developer is trying to get out of releasing an entirely new game is hoping that a couple of people will forget about their subscriptions from the previous game, and they can double up or something like that, plus get the $50 box fee or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't really see the reason why you have to go to that. I mean, if World of Warcraft wanted to stay out forever, they could always just release an expansion that updates the graphics and keep going.
Well, that's what they could have done with EverQuest 2, is reward the players from EverQuest 1 in some way. Have the character continue on in that new adventure, whatever. I don't know, man. But that's what EverQuest 2... That was the major downfall, is that they could not incorporate the people from EverQuest 1 over to EverQuest 2. And the reason, and Dave, you bring up a good point, with Brood War compared to StarCraft 2, well, there was that 12-year difference. People had kind of moved on from Brood War, even though they still had it installed on their computers. But with those MMOs like EverQuest, dude, people get on there every day. They had friendships on there every day.
Well,
and so,
yeah, but it's not like you can't, with a social game like that, it's not like you can't transfer it over to a new game, especially by the same developer. It's almost like just coming out with an expansion, except it also might just draw new people in too.
Yeah, but then they think
it really would depend on how many people you have.
Yeah, that's true.
I understand where you're coming from. I guess I don't know.
But
because I never played it.
The answer to your question, Dave, is World of Warcraft. That's what happened. Is everybody went to World of Warcraft because it's a better game too. But I thought that was a major thing because a lady that I had met when I was on a scuba diving trip was a really avid EverQuest player, and we were talking about this. It was a couple years ago, and when I looked at her, this is somebody I wouldn't think, oh, she's a gamer. It wasn't. But she said, I'm not going to move over to EverQuest 2 because I've already been in EverQuest 1 for so long. I have friendships there. We're not going to move over because we've spent so much time in the world of EverQuest 1. Yeah, maybe they're too involved. Maybe they need to let go. That's very true. But something had gone wrong. And honestly, that was a factor, but the main factor was World of Warcraft came out, and it was a better game, and it was way more addicting. Anyway, so with Final Fantasy XIV, man, they had set it in the same world as 11 with almost the same characters, but a crappier user interface, the skill system. It was bad.
Typical Final Fantasy game.
You're kind of sugarcoating it a little bit. Everything just fucking sucked. From what I hear, at least.
Yep.
It seemed like the game didn't...
That's what happened, Dave. Everything effing sucked. And I had maybe a small glimmer of faith in the Square part of Square Enix, because Square used to be Squaresoft when they made good games.
That was your first mistake. I know,
yeah.
Marshall. Marshall got it. He was such a huge Final Fantasy XI fan.
Mm-hmm.
And he, to the point where he would still play Final Fantasy XI, right now. He played, a half hour of it and wanted his money back. He was just disgusted by it.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. And even the people from Square Enix apologized and said, okay, we're going to try to implement things to get to our vision, but no, it was pretty bad. I played the demo, I think, or something, and was not too impressed. But I was happy that Nobuo Uematsu was coming back as the music composer who composed most of the Final Fantasies and most of the music that we all love from the Final Fantasy series.
But are you going to play it for the music?
It's Final Fantasy, man. Yeah.
Guys, I play Final Fantasy, and the reason is the music is so great.
That's yeah. Well, that's what I remember from 11 the most. Nerski's is 11 is the music. Anyways, let's move on. Let's shift gears. Let's talk about World of Warcraft, the behemoth, the gold standard of what it means to create an MMO, unlike Matrix Online, which died a long time ago. World of Warcraft, I'm going to say it right now, World of Warcraft's getting old. It feels... I don't play it anymore. I haven't played it in a long time. And it feels more like a chore than an adventure. It really does.
Well, that's because there's nothing difficult in World of Warcraft anymore. It's like baby's first MMO. It's like vanilla. Wow, was fantastic. It was amazing. They had problems, but it was just a ton of fun, and it was. Yeah, but like you could distinguish yourself in that game, right? Like not everybody was killing like whatever new boss they came out with at the time. If you saw someone with some awesome weapon, like you knew that guy put some fucking time and effort into that, and he's probably one of the only people on the server with it. And,
yeah, the initial release
PvP, it was just it was nice.
So good. Tarn's Mill?
I was just gonna say yeah. Oh my god, that was amazing. My buddies used to do it for hours. You just go back and forth with the Alliance and the Horde. It's just bodies everywhere. Nobody could quest in that area.
I got one story to tell after you go, Nerski. Go ahead.
But I mean, like when that vanilla WoW first came out, like stuff like Noxoramus or something like that, they said like 1% of the entire player population actually defeated that entire instance. So getting to that point was an accomplishment. I think that making stuff easier and more accessible wasn't a bad idea, but they almost made it accessible to the point it was just stupid. Where it's like, what does it mean to defeat the game now? It means nothing because everybody.
It's not almost. They actually
you can get a pickup group of random people you don't even know that you're not even on voice comms with, and just fumble around like bounce your head off of walls and roll your face across the keyboard and still beat it. I mean, it's not quite that easy, but I mean, essentially they tried to boil it down to that.
Oh, that's how you beat Arthas, the face roll across the keyboard. Yeah.
You know, I mean, they kind of turned into the Call of Duty World of Warcraft game, where it's like, you're playing for achievements. Grind away, happy campers.
Yeah. And I love Blizzard. Blizzard's one of the...
Repeat this quest every day.
Yeah.
Oh, dailies. Yeah, do the same quest over and over again.
That's when I quit the game, for the record. I was like, whoa, actually, that's just a job. No, thank you.
Yeah. Didn't feel like it was a competition at all anymore, because the PvP at first felt like a competition. You're trying to get the best gear and make a name for yourself and have a higher rank. Because that's what's fun about those kind of games when you get to the highest level. It's like, okay, now I want to compete with everyone else. See, I can get the best gear and kill everyone. But it wasn't that anymore, and that really sucked.
Well, I can kind of bring that back to the old, or I guess Galaxies, right? It's very important to be able to distinguish yourself in an MMO. Like, you have to have something you say, hey, I'm actually like really good at this. Like, if you just want to play the game and go through it and just like not take it seriously, then if the game's hard or easy or not, you're just going to do that. But if there's no opportunity to set yourself apart from other people, like say beating Nax in vanilla, you know, or getting like Grand Marshal or High Warlord or whatever, or something like that, then like for someone who's really competitive, there's just no point in the game anymore.
Yeah, well, the only thing you do in the game now is numbers. You go to an instance to get better gear so you have higher numbers. You use those higher numbers so you can dish out higher numbers at a boss. Then that boss drops better gear so you have higher numbers. Then you go to a different boss with higher numbers. It's all a numbers game, man. It's all math now. There's no fun in it.
Well, it was always like that, but it was fun when you had bigger numbers than anyone else on the server.
Well, and this
My numbers are bigger than your numbers.
Yeah, well, what was fun is when I was a paladin on Terran Mill, I'd get on my war steed and drive straight to the front line of the Horde and pick some random guy, stun him and hit him, and then bubble and run back, and their whole front line is moving backwards. That one guy is stunned, and my whole front line is moving towards them, and that guy's just getting owned. I loved doing that, and I would wait 5 minutes until my bubble came back and do it. That was a lot of fun, man. That was way more fun than doing any kind of instances. I want to hear the one with the mines that you tell all the time.
So I played a rogue in World of Warcraft. I was that guy, and I loved World PvP.
The guy who spends most of his time backstabbing people when they're not looking.
that all of my time.
He won't fight you straight up. He just waits until you're not looking and you go back to questing, and then here he comes. I'm out of here.
I'll fight people straight up in too. But me and a group of 4 rogues on the server back when it was just all world PvP. Well, was it all world? Yeah, it was all world PvP around that Tarn Mill and SWTOR area.
South Shore, yeah.
In engineering and vanilla, there's this thing called a goblin landmine. And what it would do is you'd set it off, and it would do AoE damage, and it would hurt yourself too. And back then, the AoE didn't like I think nowadays, if there's like too much stuff in an area, the AoE spreads out and it like lowers the damage. Back then, it just did the full damage, right? So the 5 of us would stealth into the whole like horde, I guess, that were like standing on top of a hill at Tarn Mill, and we'd pick whatever person was sitting down. We'd all just ambush them, and then just detonate these goblin landmines. And it was enough that basically, unless you were like a tank at like max level at that point, it was just gonna kill everyone in that little area. So we just detonate, just destroy a huge chunk of people, vanish, and just get out of there. And we just wait and laugh while our cooldown came back up. And that was some of the most fun I've actually ever had in a video game. Was just being a horrible, horrible person to groups of people at Tarn.
But you know what? I think for any MMO to be successful, you have to be able to be the good guy, you have to be able to be the horrible guy, and you have to be able to be the everything in between. That's, I mean, like the recipe for a good game, you know? While still being able to do what you want to do. And that's, I think, one of the biggest things that WoW did for people. You know, they had areas where you couldn't fight each other even on a PvP server, so you could level. They created distance between you so that you wouldn't necessarily always be smashing heads against somebody else until you got to a really high level. So that you could be the crafter guy, you could be the quester guy, you could be the lore guy, you could go RP in Ogremar and dress up in dresses and pretend one guy's the wife and one guy's the whatever you wanted to do, you could do it. And I think that was the key though there. For that game, is that it was easy to get into and it was easy to do whatever you wanted to do. They took everything all the previous MMOs did and they did it right.
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, WoW didn't I guess innovate much of anything. They just did everything really well.
Yeah. They just took all the good things from the previous ones and made one game with just the good stuff and mostly none of the bad stuff.
That's part of why I'm really excited for the Old Republic, especially after messing around with the beta a little bit. They're not really doing anything all that innovative. It just looks really good.
Except the voice acting, man.
Well, the voice acting, I mean, it's not really innovative.
Voice acting's not even new. Age of Conan 1 to 10 was that. 1 to 10, and then it ended. So, like, it's not a new idea. It's just taking ideas that were good and then saying, all right, these are all the really good ideas that like a game like WoW doesn't have. Let's take, you know what I mean, if you compare it like to the development of a wheel, like games like UO EverQuest might have been the wooden wheel. You go to like World of Warcraft and now maybe you got like a bike tire. It's like now you're getting to like Star Wars and now it's like, okay, we're not going to reinvent the wheel. We're just going to take it that next step to make it a better wheel. Yeah. And I mean, that's a smart way to do it. Why completely change the mold if it's already been proven to work? Yeah. Maybe just add your own twist on it. And change little things.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, if it works, why try to fix it, right? And we're going to get into that a little bit later with the innovation versus fun thing. These MMOs trying to be innovative, but losing that fun factor, and which is why they're not successful. Because, honestly, guys, you don't need graphics to be successful. You don't. Look at WoW's graphics. It's cartoony. It's old, but it's still the most successful MMO out there. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, more shifting gears. Stay tuned, guys. I'm going to show that clip every time we come back from a commercial. I love it, man. I love it.
Something said.
Welcome back to Shifting Gears. So, gentlemen, we talked about the failures and the successes of MMOs. Let's look towards the future of MMOs here.
In the year 3000?
In the year 3000! Yeah, something like that. In Guild Wars 2 is going to be released in the future. We don't know the official release date yet. Guild Wars 1 was fun. I actually would take a break from playing Battlefield 2 and World of Warcraft by playing Guild Wars 1. Guild Wars 2 is... They talk about how they're trying to break away from the mold of MMOs. I could be mistaken, but there's no healers in Guild Wars 2. Have you guys heard that? I may be mistaken. Chat, you're like, no, you're wrong, Clutch. But okay,
I think that's right.
Yeah.
Was there necessarily a healer in Guild Wars 1? I only played it a little bit. I don't really remember.
I don't remember.
I don't think in Old Republic there's really a healer either. I mean,
they have healer roles.
Kind of, but it's not like somebody's just sitting there spamming heals. Right?
Yeah, it's not like White Mage. Yeah, it's not like that, kind of. But
hybridization.
Yeah, the hybrids now. Just like at StarCraft 2, it's all about the hybrids. Spoilers. With MMOs, I'm kind of breaking away from that mold, though, of the tank, healer, DPS crowd control mold of what they have with World of Warcraft, trying to get away from that. Well, it works. People fill different roles how they want to fill. They have different play styles or different character types or classes they want to play as. So it's a good time to see how they're going to break away from this mold, even if they're going to. Star Wars, the Old Republic. I played the beta. I had to stop at level 10 because of addiction. I knew I would not be able to handle myself or school or even social life if I continued playing that game, knowing that the beta would stop and I would need my fix soon. It's great. It is a great game. It feels like a Mass Effect. It feels like a Knights of the Old Republic game. The single-player story mode is intriguing. You can make decisions. Either you're Jedi or Sith that are good or bad. And I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the combat. Plus, you get to play with other people online. Plus, you get a Starship. Plus, so many pluses.
Sold at Starship.
Yeah.
That's all I
Starship sold! Yeah. Definitely, man. So
great.
I'm really looking forward to the game. My only complaint is the graphics, but like I said before, you don't need graphics to be successful. And after hearing the great voice acting, guys, great voice acting. There's this one character in the Sith Inquisitor that you deal with. The way he delivers his lines, like that guy's going places. That actor, it is impressive, and the amount that they have is quite impressive. Now, Blizzard made a comment about this. I believe it was. Where was it? I think it was at BlizzCon a couple years ago, but somebody asked him, how do you feel about Star Wars The Old Republic with its voice acting? And paraphrasing, they said, it's a great undertaking, but the problem is, how are you going to add more content? Are you going to add it without the voice acting? Do you have to have the voice acting with it? I would think they would have to have it because that's what everybody's used to as the standard of the game. And so that process is going to take a little bit longer. But you know what? I have no problem waiting that extra couple weeks for more content that has voice acting in it. That's good voice acting, not stupid filler. Any kind of person can say these words and record it. Voice acting. Yeah. The combat is great. You have to be actively engaged. There's no real auto attack. You have to click every time you do a special move. The system is great as far as finding people for groups, and the questing felt like you were actually making a difference in the story rather than gathering 10 wolf pelts and bringing them to some random guy you never get to see again. I'm very excited about the game. I'm not exactly sure which date I will be playing it because I did get the collector's edition really early, but I'll be streaming that stuff, man. I am totally looking forward to it. I'm so glad it's coming out towards the end of my finals, and I need to set alarms on my phone to remind me when to eat when that game is released. Nerski, you played the beta. What are your thoughts?
I actually really like the beta. I'd actually argue with you a little bit that even though the graphics are stylized graphics, like I was paying a lot of attention to the world, like the lighting they use, the little nuanced things that they put into the world as far as graphics go. Like, you know, you're walking down a road and it's supposed to be an old, like, really old bridge. And there's, like, little pebbles and little extra boulders and, like, all the little nuanced things are all there. Sure, it might not be, like, a realistic look of graphics. It's stylized. But they paid really close attention, I thought, to, like, the little nuanced things to set the mood and the ambiance for the areas you were in. And I think they did that really well. Like, if you play a Republic character versus a Empire character, like, the differences in the lightings and the way the world's built and stuff were just completely different. So I think from that standpoint, like, the graphics, even though they're stylized, actually didn't really bother me because they paid a lot of close attention to like, the regular things. As far as the gameplay goes, I mean, having that story in between the go get me 5 of this quests or whatever, having that interaction where, like, you have the 3 options, you know, you got the 3 little options on your screen, and they react differently based on, you know, which options you pick, what companion you have with you. Like, there's so many different ways to affect how your personal story plays out, to make it personal to you, that everything you're doing in the game, like, it's like playing your own little movie or, you know, real-life character in the game, and you always want to hear the next story. And they spent a lot of time really developing even some of the side stories that aren't even part of your main class's stories. So when you play those stories, you're actually intrigued. You know, like, one of the ones that really stuck out for me, without trying to spoil it for everyone, is they have a Revenant quest line, which is a throwback to the original Knights of the Old Republic stuff that they did. And you learn all this stuff about it, and, like, you go on all these quests, and you can spend a lot of time doing that kind of side questy type of stuff if you want to. And some of your decisions even can open up new quest lines that you wouldn't have gotten to otherwise. There's actually a choice on one of the Sith worlds, I think it's like the second Sith world, where if you help this chick out the right way, there's this whole bonus storyline and this whole bonus story area you can go to and do all these extra quests that if you didn't make that choice, you wouldn't have even known that area existed in the game.
I love bonuses, especially Christmas bonuses. Wink. The story itself, I'm so excited for, man, because that is one of the major elements we have not seen incorporated in massive multiplayer online games is a good story. We have a cool intro cinematic, but that's it. That's it. So it's really exciting. And it feels like a BioWare game, and BioWare has made incredible games except Dragon Age 2. So loved so many BioWare games. Really excited for it. Wiggin, you played a little bit. Your impressions?
Yeah, you can definitely tell it's a BioWare game, and that's a good thing. It's doesn't like I said earlier, man. BioWare games don't necessarily innovate, but they do everything very well. Great voice acting, just the ambiance, everything like that. It's just it's what you want, man. What you want from a game. I really like the way they keep it story driven too. Going back to WoW, it's like boring just grinding through quests, but the Old Republic, it's interesting. You want to find out what's going on. You're doing different things each time.
And then you realize, I'm getting a starship.
Yeah.
Oh!
You got that dangling at the end of the rope there.
It's funny. I saw a picture on Reddit, and it said, put the Christ back in Christmas. And then it said, put the Han back in Hanukkah, and had a picture of Han Solo holding a menorah. And I went, yep, it's that time. It's the holidays of Star Wars, man. Can't wait. But dude, I'm so looking forward to it, my friends. And I will post which server we're going to play on Twitter. Not sure yet. Wig and I have a group of friends that are really excited for, and then we have another group of friends that are really excited for it, and we need to merge the two families together. We need to sit down at an old Italian restaurant and be like, I understand you want to merge families kind of thing, like a little bit of a mafia thing. And hopefully it'll go very well, but that will all be in the works. But everybody in chat and people that support the show and support MLG, love to play with you. I will be playing a Sith Inquisitor, though. That is set in stone, so really enjoyed it.
Sniping nerds, calling down orbital strikes.
That's right, man. That's right. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, gentlemen, we are on Major League Gaming, and we are focused on esports. So, we've seen World of Warcraft in the realm of esports with the arena style. It's not the greatest of games to watch as a spectator. To play, hey, it's fun as long as they end. But honestly, these MMOs, do they have esports potential? And that's a great question, because the amount of competition, what better way to compete in games than for money and prestige in official leagues? So the arena types, the arena bases pretty much hold true to what esports is about. I mean, you want to have a specific area with specific characters to fight against each other, but it has to be skill-based. It cannot be time, level, or gear-based. It can't be that, because it's not fair really at all. It's not. There's no balance to that. So it has to be set characters with set gear, set levels, maybe even set skills that they can use. And it has to be fun for the spectator. That's the number one thing, besides balance and fun for the player, is it has to be fun for the spectator, even if the spectators don't play the game. So we have Hutball for Star Wars The Old Republic, which I don't know all that much about except some of the rules.
It sounds cool.
It does sound cool.
Yeah,
it sounds fun.
I'm not sure if it
sounds like
playable.
fun at least.
Yeah.
I don't think it
I don't think it was.
It's not playable?
In the beta, I don't.
No, it's not playable in the beta. No, but it's something playable in the game.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, of course it'll be playable in the game, but I meant like in the beta, yeah, you couldn't play it.
Yeah.
So I have no idea if it's going to be fun or not.
Yeah, I mean, it's a potential. I'm just throwing it out there. But Guild Wars 2. Guild Wars 2 had talked about having some sort of PvP arena that could have casters and spectators. So it's an element they're trying to incorporate or introduce or be part of the MMO fashion. But really, it's deep down, it's the PvP system of these MMOs that any kind of esports will come out of it. I mean, I can't see any kind of esports of a guild going to kill a level 99 boss.
Raid speedruns?
Yeah, like that's 4 hours long. That happens like on a Friday afternoon. That's not fun to watch as a spectator. Now, if you were a diehard person that played the game and you couldn't get in that instance because you didn't have a good enough guild, you're like, dude, let's watch him do it, man. We'll be part of the experience. Hey, good for you. But that's not something a lot of the esports people are interested in. So as far as an esport, as far as that kind of realm for these games, I'm not sure. They would have to come up with something that is a lot of fun to watch. But honestly, it's all about Diablo 3. It's not an MMO, but that's the next big thing. I don't know if that's true. I hope it is. I love Diablo 3. It's so much fun.
The nice thing about Diablo 3 is that it's quick, right? Like part of the reason World of Warcraft just wasn't that interesting to watch for arenas is they could just take fucking forever.
Well, it wasn't really visually interesting either.
No. It's just like number spam.
That pillar was interesting. Psych.
That pillar, running around the pillar for like 3 hours while one guy's healing and one guy's chasing.
Yeah. So hopefully, one thing that at least I think is exciting about like the idea of Hutball is it's not just about killing other people. There's an objective to it. So
it's like a sport.
You don't have to just watch somebody like stand there and like hit 3 buttons and watch like numbers drain up or down. Like you can see somebody like running around trying to do something.
Those numbers.
So hopefully, I don't know. I don't know if it even needs to be an esport, but hopefully there'll be something at least interesting and watchable. Yeah,
some sort of competition that adds to it, which is great for any game. And a lot of games are starting to recognize that as far as the developing cycle. Hey, there's some potential for this becoming an esport, and further marketing the game, showing off potential sequels to the game. You know, there's an added element to it.
I don't even know if you need to necessarily like try to make something an esport. The community is what's going to make it an esport.
Right.
They don't want to make Diablo 3 an esport, for example, but a lot of people could easily see it happening that way just because the arenas in Diablo 3 could work out like that.
Balance the game for PvP. They didn't say anything specifically about esports though.
Well, the number one thing to add to any sort of game for an esport is a spectator mode. Better spectator modes. That's what you need. That's all they really need to do. If they already have a solid enough game to compete online, then just make a better spectator mode.
Yes.
So,
that's about it. If you think about it, with the way these games are, I mean, as far as esports go, what do you really need to have an esport? You need it to be exciting to watch so that people will turn into the stream even if they don't play it. It needs to be simple enough to understand on some level that somebody can just tune in and kind of get the idea of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then it has to be like streamable. Like you have to be able to spectate it well enough to broadcast it to all these people who want to see it. So long as you have those elements, it doesn't matter if it's balanced, it doesn't matter if it's, you know, like easy to do or not. So long as it's visually interesting for the person watching at home and you can understand it and it has a big following, that's really all that's going to ever matter for a game as an esport, for it just to exist as an esport. You know, whether or not it's actually a good esport or a difficult esport is almost an entirely different conversation from can it be an esport.
Yeah, it's very true. It's very true. But if I were to give one thing that developers could do to help it be more marketable as an esport, or the community to approach it as a game that's funner to watch, make a better spectator mode. Look at StarCraft 2, man. Replays, boom, done. That's what you need to have people enjoy these games that happen, and for observers
I really
to
like
happen.
to be able to sit in a party with friends and watch replay together.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
That's tragic for casting from replays too. I know you guys don't probably cast a lot of games like I do, but when you try and cast something that, like, for whatever reason, scheduling issues or whatever, you need to do it from replays.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the easiest way to get the people to play the games without, like, totally straining their schedule. And you're trying to cast from replay, and when you try and sync up with somebody to cast from a replay, that's, like, tortureful, because the guy who's streaming, if the other guy for any reason gets ahead, he'd be like, oh my god, and the High Templar just killed everything and he miraculously won, and then you're like, dude, it didn't even happen yet.
Fail.
You know? I mean,
right.
That's definitely missing for StarCraft 2. But otherwise, the spectator mode's amazing.
Yeah.
Especially for locked.
Yeah. I don't use chat channels. I never complain about that. Anyways. All right, last segment for tonight, the innovation versus fun. And we had tiptoed into this a bit earlier in the show, but this is back to the mold. New MMOs want to be different than previous successes, but that new factor only lasts for so long. It needs to be fun, and that mold really is the tank, healer, 2 DPS, and whatever. I mean, crowd control. If it's only 5, then it's only 5. But trying to break away from that that's so familiar and works for so many people is really tough in that realm. And I don't know what can replace it. I don't know in my mind something that can replace it. Star Wars The Old Republic is trying to add these hybrid classes or have companion characters that say, hey, we only have 4 people, we need a 5th. Well, my companion can play as a tank. The companion's the guy that follows you around. That's a story character. And I'm like, all right, he'll play the tank, and then you're good to go. So that's pretty cool that you have different companions that complement the type of character that you are. As a Sith Inquisitor, you are more of a mage. You know, you can't really take a lot of damage compared to a warrior. So the companion you're going to have is going to be a tank-style character when you solo, so it's easier. So having those roles filled that way instead of waiting for 2 hours to put together a group because you don't have a tank is a great step in the right direction. Because if there's anything that we don't have, gentlemen, and if there's any ladies watching the stream, which is probably not, but if there's anything that we don't have, it's time. We don't have time. We don't have time to sit in an area and spam LFG looking for group tank for 2 hours. That's just.
I hate to break it to you, Josh. The MMOs might not be for you. that is.
Guess how many MMOs I play, Wiggin?
More than me. I don't know.
Boom, 0 right now. I try some out, but I don't play them for long. But the Old Republic, to me, I spent maybe 40 seconds max looking for a group. But honestly, everybody was playing the game at the same level. So we'll see what happens. But that's just one element of it that is annoying, that feels like a chore. However, the adventure is most of the fun in the game. Discovering new areas, seeing this new beast monster that's totally like, it's not some different color from the starting area or some different colored wolf, but it's some new. That dog is going nuts. He knows what I'm talking about.
I got 11 of them in my house, and I haven't heard a peep. And you got like one dog. And it's just
I don't know. I'm gonna have a council with my roommates and say, hey, remember that red light I put on my door when I'm alive? It's on. No, I need one.
Muzzle that thing.
Yeah. No, that's all good. It's just a dog.
Get out the duct tape.
Oh, that's not fair. That's not fair. He's a nice little dog too. He's a little beagle.
Get set points for that. Come on.
No, I'm gonna be a Sith Inquisitor, but do the right thing. It's good, intriguing. That's what I like about it too. Is if you're Sith,
you gotta be the contradiction guy.
If you're Sith, it doesn't mean you have to be evil. Oh, blew your mind. Anyway, so there has to be that fun factor. Dave, you had a lot of fun with Vanilla WoW. They changed a lot of things. It's a different game now. You describe one of the most, or probably the most fun you've had in a video game, or at least one of the best moments. Is that it for you, man? Is it those quick bursts of damage and blowing people up and getting away with it that's fun to you, or what is it about an MMO that is fun for you?
I'm a competitive guy. I just like being better at stuff than other people. Mm-hmm. That's what's fun to me. And killing a huge chunk of people in Taran Mill, that was being better than them in that game.
Should have gotten an achievement.
Right. I don't know. I think
yeah.
I appreciate skill in games. So if you can take away, I'm not saying there's no skill to, like, say, playing a healer and healing people the whole time. There's definitely a skill to it, but it's not interesting to me. If you can break away from the mold, so someone doesn't have to sit there and just heal all day, and you can tank by, I don't know, hitting the right button to counter shit or something.
Mm-hmm.
If you can break away from stuff like that, then sure, go for it, you know. But it does have to, in the end, it has to be fun. It has to be fun for everyone, and not everyone wants to play the same way. Not everyone wants to, like, be a DPSer, or not everyone wants to tank, or everyone wants to heal. So maybe the only way to do it is to give everyone the option to do whatever you want, and then if you want to do it, you can go that way. Like, you can play a Sith Inquisitor and tank, or Sith Inquisitor and heal, or Sith Inquisitor and DPS. And I think it's kind of that way.
It is.
So
yeah, because
that's the right way to go about it. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, the
advanced
advanced classes.
Oh yeah, I guess eventually you have to make a choice. But I guess it's nice that they give everyone the options. But you have to walk a fine line between letting everybody do whatever they want and making sure everyone isn't just the same. Right.
Yeah.
You have to be able to, like I said, you have to be able to distinguish yourself, even if that means just picking a different spec or like just I don't want to be the same character as the other Imperial agent, like, that's also in this instance or something.
And what's cool about
the uniqueness to my character.
What's cool about the Old Republic is the choices that you make add to the uniqueness of your character.
Yes.
That's pretty sweet. That's pretty sweet.
Well, I hope they do a good job of making it like actual, like, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. Like an actual impactful difference. Like not
kind
just
of like the EVE
I have
Online difference, where, like, when you do something, it literally can make giant chunks of the game change hands.
Sure, or
sure.
I mean, just something specifically like on my character. Like, say if I make a decision somewhere, I have, like, a different perk than someone else that made the different decision, or something like that. Like, I hope there's more stuff like that, because it's cool if we all have our different, like, quest lines and different stories we're in, but if we all join an instance and we still have the same character, even though we're, like, making vastly different decisions in a story, then I'm going to be a little bit disappointed, you know? But, I mean, that's just kind of how MMOs work.
Well, they have the dark side and light side, so to some extent, you do have that distinction. I mean, obviously, light side players are going to distinctly, even visually, look different than dark side players. You know, so you already do have that aspect in there. They've said they're trying really hard to make it so that no specific spec is going to be, like, the ideal spec. Now, whether or not that'll actually pan out is an entirely different, like, we'll see type of thing. Because a lot of times any MMO will eventually get into optimized specs. But they've said they're trying really hard to make it so that even if you're just spastically picking stuff, you'll still be able to be useful. Just as useful as the guy trying to optimize, or at least useful enough to be around with the guy who's trying to optimize.
Yeah, I get so upset sometimes when I play WoW and people are like, your spec's wrong for Ret Paladin, you must go to this guy and do it this way. It's like, no, I want to have a little bit of healing when I'm going, like, no, you are a noob. Like, I've played since vanilla. Like, Ret Paladins suck anyway, you should play Holy. Like, stop telling me to do things, man. I don't even know who you are. It was really annoying, man. And so knowing that you had to play a certain way, you had to have this kind of gear, you had to have this kind of skill tree for your character in order for anybody to pick you up for a group, I found to be really annoying. So getting away from that is going to be exciting as well.
Well, and I get the impression that's kind of the direction they're going. But, I mean, if we're going to go back to actually the topic of talking about the future of MMOs, I think, honestly, you know where you're going to actually see the future of MMOs probably going towards? Is, like, you have a lot of people, especially with the Titan game that's coming out.
Yeah.
And some of the people Blizzard's recruited on to help with that game, like, people are like, oh, it's going to be a first-person shooter MMO or something like that. I think the more the direction that I think the next evolution of MMOs are going is getting away from the third-person stuff and going to more of a first-person MMO, starting to add a little bit of those Twitch elements into an MMO without over-inundating you to the point where it's so Twitch-based that you can't just pick it up and play it without getting absolutely just destroyed by everybody else. Where it's more like the Call of Duty to a Counter-Strike, you know what I mean? I mean, to make like a pretty just blatant comparison, you play a game like a Call of Duty on the console with auto-aim and stuff, it helps you to make up for skill. You play a game like the original Counter-Strike on a PC, it's a lot harder to be good in that game than it is the other game. And I think what you're going to get is this transition to more engrossed, like, you know, maybe Titan will be like full voiced over, but now it's also first person and there's a little bit of a Twitch-based element to it. Yeah. You know, whether it's first person shooting or first person still running around with a sword, like more like Skyrim style. Like, I think that's kind of the direction that you're going to start seeing the next generation head to.
Yeah, we'll see.
Ultimately, the sandbox is where everybody wants to eventually go.
Yeah. Well, I'd rather... The sandboxes sometimes are turning into deserts that nobody wants to be, period.
It's too complicated right now for players.
Yeah.
Like,
it's too much.
The communities aren't ready for it yet. You know, EVE Online is the perfect example of the only sandbox out there, and they have like a 30,000-ish people who play at one time, which isn't bad. But the game, the like barrier to entry, there's a graphic out there that I've seen that's hilarious as heck. It's like, here's WoW, here's EverQuest, here's whatever, and then like EVE Online is like a cliff that goes up, and then there's like a graveyard, and you go up, and then there's like another graveyard, and there's like a bulldozer pushing bodies off the side. So it's like, it's like the barrier to entry was just too high in that game. But I think eventually you're gonna see MMOs try and be more like, I think a game like Skyrim, actually in some ways is gonna be the type of direction MMOs trying to head, where it's a little more open-ended, it's a little more first-person, and it's a little more personal to you, what you do in the game, where you're not really like driven to just do this storyline and then you kill the boss and then you're done.
Yeah, but a lot of the fun factors I have in games, even with Star Wars The Old Republic, is to make a choice and then see the outcome. I can take a second, put my hand off the mouse and keyboard, and watch the dialogue happen and go, okay, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? I saved this guy. What's going to happen? That's why I love BioWare games, man, because I can actually see my actions in the game affecting the world in my computer, you know, affecting the world that is happening in front of me on the screen. And I find that really enjoyable. That's just me because I love good stories and I love experiencing stories, be it television, movies, books, or through video games. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, I want to show a really cool video that Wiggin showed me earlier, and we're going to have our closing comments. Stay tuned. This is Shifting Gears.
Got him.
I told you, every time I come back from commercial, I'm going to play that video. All right. So Wiggin showed me this video. Let me get it all set up for you guys here. From Battlefield 3, I am flabbergasted how cool this is. Let me go ahead and play it here.
I gotta find an old video to show you where this idea Objective taken.
Yeah.
Alright, here's, this is 20 seconds, you should show this as well. Loop zook is the term for that.
Uh-huh.
Though it wasn't really a loop in that. I guess that's the first time I've ever seen anything like that in the new Battlefield. But it's actually an old mainstay of Battlefield games, and I just linked you to one from Battlefield 1942.
The guy made a smaller clip of just that, but it's with the A-Team theme song, and it's so beautifully done. I can't play it because of music licensing, guys, but really check it out on YouTube, man. Dun, 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 dun. Anyway.
20 seconds on the last one.
Okay, all right, I'll set it up. Give me a sec.
Imagine the video he showed with the A-Team music, and there you go.
Here's an old school loop, Azure and stuff.
I wish I could see it if my mouse would only move.
It's so bad.
Throughout the course of the show, it's just that.
You might want to...
Oh my gosh. Oh! Wow.
See, more games that have things like that. That is what makes games awesome. When you
That-
broken elements
feel
for the
shit
win.
like that.
Oh my gosh. That is so cool. I love...
Hey, see you later, Adabc. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, Adabc. Thanks, man. Adabc, one of our community casters as well. That just blows my mind, man. But I really love the Battlefield series for stuff like that. And I love flying. I've unlocked all of the power-ups for the jet, and it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it.
I am that guy that puts C4 on Jeeps and runs them into everything.
He's that guy. He's that guy. All right, gentlemen.
Better is to be the guy that puts C4 on something and waits for somebody to get into it.
Oh, I can't do that. I like to,
yeah. You thought you got in an airplane. Look at you go, look at you go. You think you're having fun. Boom.
Especially the jets. You get shot down, but you parachute over their airfield, and you get on a jet, and you throw some C4 on it, and you run into the bushes, and they get in, and the jet starts to take off, and beep! And then they find you and kill you, but it was totally worth it. I love those moments. That really is a Battlefield moment. All right. Closing comments, gentlemen. But first, Wiggin, did you have any comment or questions from chat that we need to address?
I didn't see any yet, actually.
Okay. Well, if you guys...
real quick, does anyone have any questions? Other than stuff about what to do if you're playing Zerg and I fast expand Stargate. You get... you build an Evo chamber when you see a Stargate.
No, you build roaches, and you just win the game.
Oh yeah. Well,
gosh.
Lena style, baby.
All right. Well, as any questions pop up in the chat, we can go and grab them. But as we're closing up, we talked a lot about some good stuff of MMOs and what we'd like to see in the future. And I'm really excited for Star Wars: The Old Republic. I feel it's going to be a great title. I really enjoyed the beta. Some people really question kind of the end user content or adding content to the end of the game, how that's going to work. Let's get there when we get there. Honestly, if it's just me playing Star Fox in Star Wars land, that's great. That's fine with me. When it comes to the story, you know, the Darth Revan story was amazing in Knights of the Old Republic. And getting away from the whole Anakin story is great. That kid did not bring balance to the Force. He couldn't even bring balance to his hormones. Freaking movies. Oh my gosh. Anyways.
Hey, all I can say is Star Wars Galaxy, if you follow the right quest line, you end up with a threesome with you, this chick, and your companion.
You mean Old Republic?
No, the new one. Yeah.
Yeah, you said Galaxies. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. My bad.
Yeah.
Star Wars The Old Republic.
Okay. Well, with that, Nerski, is there anything you'd like to add to tonight's conversation?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, no, I mean, that's it for me as far as, like, adding for conversation goes. Just waiting on shout-outs, I guess, at this point.
We do have two questions that are kind of interesting.
Okay, shoot.
VP Angle wants to know how much longer we think WoW will go for, and if, I guess there'll be a sequel to WoW, I think is what he's asking. And Nerski, he wants to know why you don't return his calls.
Nerski, why don't you return his calls, man?
Number two, that's because he's paid, so he doesn't need me to call him.
Oh.
Number one, number one, I honestly think WoW will be around until there's not a player base for it. I don't think they'll add many expansions once Titan comes out. I think they'll be done with it. You might get one if you're lucky. I mean, they're on the Panda Bears now, so they're clearly running out of ideas. For Whether they want to spin it as, oh, we just want a light thing. We gotta get off all this darkness because we kind of went down and blew up the world, and now let's Panda Bears, guys. Trust me, Panda Bears is worth. I mean, it's obvious the game is running its course as far as potential content goes. You've killed everybody known in the game already, like 86,000 times to get that one piece of gear, or like the Ash Candy back in the day or something like that. So, I mean, it'll keep going. They'll probably keep the servers up as long as people are paying for it.
Yeah.
But Titan will probably kill it.
Unless, I could see it lasting for years. I mean,
and
you have so many games that haven't been updated in God knows how long that people still hang on to, especially MMOs.
There's only, you know what? There's only one Blizzard game that can kill another Blizzard game, and that's a Blizzard game.
Yeah.
That's the Blizzard Inception.
Sure.
Well, I think Star Wars: The Old Republic will eat into a good chunk of WoW. Just because it's so dated at this point. People are kind of just want something new that doesn't suck.
They're ready. Well, a lot of people...
the first new that doesn't suck in a while.
People that I had spoken to said once they kill Arthas, they're done. There's no more story to Warcraft then. That's it. That's the last main bad guy.
I killed Illidan and I was done.
Yeah. Dave, you were not prepared. You were not prepared.
I was well prepared.
I never did Black Temple.
He was prepared, but nothing more than that.
Yeah.
I think I killed him once.
The second question that I think is really interesting is why do games nowadays take less skill?
Because there's no more Battletoads.
Because they want everybody to feel awesome.
I think it's because since video games have become more mainstream, they want to incorporate more of the mainstream audience instead of people that are very good at hand-eye coordination. So, but it's very true, man. The SNES games were so tough sometimes. Lion King. Somebody posted on Lion King. They said, F this level, and we had to jump on the giraffe heads, and you had to circle around the monkey thing to get it was really tough. You had to have pinpoint accuracy in that game.
Super hard Mario version that's online that you can play.
Yeah,
I think especially with these, like big publishers, EA and Activision, things like that. There's no reason to appeal to like a really hardcore gamer anymore when anyone can pull up Call of Duty, sit in a corner, and then drop a Predator missile on somebody. Like, what? So why bother making it really difficult to play? Especially because console shooters in general, I think, are the biggest, I guess, problems.
Well, CS:GO's going more hardcore.
Well, yeah, but CS:GO is going to be a PC shooter, right? So you haven't had a lot of PC shooters lately that have been really popular, but you have a ton of console shooters. The Halos, the Call of Duties, Gears of War, things like that. And what do you have in a console game to make it look cool, basically? Auto-aim. And
I think
that's hit scan weapons. That makes games easy. It really does.
Yeah.
You just can't do like some of the cool shit you could do in Quake, like bunny hopping and then just like Twitch, just bam, and like railing somebody. Like you just can't do on a console.
No.
So it has to be easy. So as you get console gaming becoming more popular, especially in the shooter genre, and PC gaming being less popular in the shooter genre, you just get games that are easier.
Yeah. Go ahead, Nerski. What's on your mind?
So the one thing though that I figured out I can get to work with my keyboard, but so one thing that I would say though that is really true about the games nowadays too is you have, as the consoles and the PC start to come closer together as far as functionality concerns, I mean, essentially most consoles are PCs nowadays. Mm-hmm. Just the readers on them and the coding and whatnot is what prevents them from actually functioning like a PC, more so than anything.
I think it's the controller. That's the big limiting factor.
Right, but with them being so similar now, most games are now also built to easily cross between all three platforms, which I think inherently goes back to affecting the gameplay, because it has to be simple enough to work with a controller on a console, and then they just port it over to the PC. Like, there's a lot of that going on, too, like the Call of Duty games. I think in a large part, you've seen them suffer as far as some of the options go in the game.
You could lean left and right. You could lean left and right in Call of Duty 1 and 2, man. I remember that. The Q and E. Q and E.
You could in Black Ops.
Yeah.
But, I mean, even without that, like, still, like, when you're porting games from, like, you're making it simple enough for a console, but you want it on the PC, so you just port it to the PC, it's inherently going to lose a lot in that porting. I mean, I know there's some games that have been ported and still said press start, like on the screen, once it got to the PC port, and it's like, where's the start button? I don't know, George. I mean...
Yeah, I did see in chat somebody had asked, I don't know if you picked this up, Wiggin. I didn't catch his name real quick. But Bajalways asked, would we ever see esports on TV like it is in Korea? Watch the VOD of this episode, my friend, because we talked about TV is dying and internet is really the main form of media distribution that's coming out, at least in the future, and especially for esports because of scheduling, because, imagine trying to fit a 7-game extended series of Boxer versus Hydra on a TV schedule. They're like, when do we go to commercial? We don't know what's happening. It just doesn't work that way. So, but watch the VOD for this. And you did get to see Lady Gaga make an appearance on Nerski's camera again. So, Wiggin, anything else you saw? Was that it?
For questions?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think that was it.
All right. Well, if you guys do have questions after the show or during the week, send them to me at Clutch08. Love to hear from you guys on differing opinions, facts, and ideas going on in the realms of video games and esports, or heck, even entertainment itself. So, Nerski, it's great to have you on the show again, my friend. We are wrapping up the show now. Any shout-outs you would like to give?
Obviously, shout out to you, Clutch. You're an awesome host. You know, I was with you when you were first getting started out, and you're a little more nervous. You're definitely coming into your own, my friend, so, big props to you. Gotta send a shout-out just to Wiggin. He's a cool guy. Shout out to everybody who's viewing. You always have to shout out to the viewers, because without the viewers, esports world doesn't go round. Yep. They're what makes everything possible. And then, of course, I have to do the obligatory shout-outs to VP Gamers, the team I play with and I do some casting for, and their sponsor, Nation Voice, right now. So big shout out to them and that whole community. I know a lot of them tuned into the show.
Cool.
Because
thanks, guys.
Them too. So, but also big shout out to MLG and just the whole esports community. I'm looking hugely forward to seeing what comes out of MLG, especially in 2012, because there's just the sky's the limit right now in esports. And I think it really will go as far as people are willing to help spread the esports love out there. Yeah. The more people you bring into esports, the more esports is going to give back to you.
That's right. That. The one thing I can tell you about 2012, there will be more Clutch.
You might be bearded after playing Star Wars The Old Republic for like 5 weeks straight.
Yeah. I thought about
hair everywhere, beard.
I thought about saving the beard until Diablo 3 comes out. We'll see. Wiggin, my friend, shout-outs?
Just to reiterate, thank you so much to all the people that actually tune in show after show to watch this. It's just amazing to see you guys. Mm-hmm. So, all those names that I see time after time, like Shion NorCal and all those people, thank you so much. Who else do I need to shout out? Shout out to Clutch for having me on here. Thank you so much. It's always fun. Nerski, thanks for coming back, man. Edabisi, though you're not here, thanks for showing up.
Monkey Nerski.
Oh yeah, follow me on Twitter. It's up here this time at MLG_Wiggin. To the 1 or 2 people that were interested in coaching or whatever, follow me on there and then send a message to me. That's a great way to get a hold of me.
He coaches me, guys. He berates me constantly. No, he's really good. He's really patient, and sometimes I get so frustrated I get to vent to him over Skype. I'm just like, frickin' Zerg and their 2 base mutas, man. It's so annoying. But he is really good. I highly recommend him.
And that'll be a no-charge thing. I wouldn't dream of charging for it.
Yet. Look at that, man. Just giving it away.
Yet.
But, and check out my stream. It's Twitch TV /MLG_Wiggin. Hi, Masters Terran, and very soon to be Masters Protoss as well. Mm-hmm. So, whatever you guys need, check it out.
All right. Well, gentlemen, thanks again for being on the show. Chat, everybody that watched, thank you so much for supporting Shifting Gears. We are on Fridays at 10 p.m. Eastern for the rest of this year. However, for 2012, the MLG lineup will be changing. So stay tuned for any updates I can give you for the 2012 season for the MLG broadcasting format of such shows as F-Slasher, Shifting Gears, State of the Game, Julie's Show, The Vinny Brusco Show, and other shows that possibly will be popping up. So a lot of exciting content coming through the pipeline for MLG.TV. As always, we always appreciate you guys checking in, tuning in, leaving comments, sending comments on Twitter, and telling your friends about these shows. Because honestly, guys, this is the future. We want to produce content that you guys want to watch that isn't being controlled by outside sources or huge corporations. We want to make the best shows possible with the best content possible, with the best guests possible, talking about the best games. And it's you guys, the viewers, that make it happen. So thank you so much for tuning in. We will be here next week. So stay tuned next week. And as always, thank you so much. Peace! Wait, I'm going to do it one more time.
What? Got him.